The end of a marriage can present a great number of overwhelming changes to sort through and figure out. If you find yourself or a loved one in this situation, we are offering free advice from an experienced attorney who knows what it's like to go through the divorce process himself. Please like, share, and subscribe to our channel to enjoy our weekly videos and shorts.
This video is sponsored by Canyon Foot and Ankle. From simple nail care to advanced trauma, reconstructive care, they're the podiatrists that have the training and skills needed to resolve even the most complex cases. Treat your feet to the exceptional care they deserve. Nothing in this program should be construed as legal advice. It is for general educational information only. Applying these ideas to your specific situation requires the professional judgment of a lawyer who understands your situation. First of all, we want to suggest that you end the marriage as amicably as you possibly can. I don't, however, recommend giving up everything just for the sake of getting it over with. You need to make sure you're not putting yourself in an impossible situation where you can't support yourself financially or you won't be able to see your kids. You need to make sure that you're getting a reasonably fair division of assets and parent time. However, regardless of whether you're the primary breadwinner or not, prepare to downgrade your standard of living. Why is that? Well, a man who's used to supporting his family is now contributing to 2 households instead of 1. That means he's going to have a lower standard of living than he had before.
And a woman who has never supported herself is likely not going to get enough child support and alimony to maintain the standard of living she was used to before the divorce, even if she starts working.
Be careful about dating while your divorce is pending if you have minor children. The other parent may attempt to use this against you to suggest that you are not leaving sufficient time for your children, that your priorities are elsewhere. It's not fair, but it happens. You may question whether it is best to get a lawyer or not. If your spouse has a significant advantage in wealth and power, you may need to get a lawyer to protect your own interests. However, if your spouse is willing to go to mediation without lawyers and try to come to an amicable resolution, you should strongly consider that. Getting lawyers involved often encourages people to request more than they're entitled to or to push a point further than they really need to. Remember that a lawyer has a financial incentive to keep litigation going as long as he or she believes you can pay the bill. You need to seize control of the costs you're expending as you move forward. Furthermore, once both sides have lawyered up, it's often very difficult for the couple to just meet together and resolve things easily and make compromises. Remember, your soon-to-be former spouse is still your spouse. You know him or her better than anyone. So consider using what you know about the other person and what's important to them to help resolve issues with them without costly legal proceedings. There are definitely situations where you need a lawyer. The most important one is where your former spouse has already obtained the services of a lawyer, himself or herself. Friends, I want to add a little bit about the benefits of mediation, where a trained lawyer or former judge sits down with the 2 parties and helps the parties to clarify what they want most and helps them try to come to a resolution. Now keep in mind that a good settlement is never going to give you everything you want. A good settlement generally means both parties walk away a little dissatisfied. However, it is going to more closely approximate what you can get in court than the assumption that one or the other party is going to win everything, which is highly unlikely.
You know, Jeff, I'm a big fan of mediation. I personally experienced it with lawyer representation on both sides, which quite frankly saved us a lot of aggravation in communicating with each other, which we weren't ready to do, because our lawyers could speak for us and in behalf of us. And it kept things a lot more civil and reasonable because we were in separate rooms. I think we both walked away feeling a little disappointed, which probably was about right.
Now, you need to understand that you and your spouse are still going to be co-parenting together for the rest of your children's minority. And then even after that, you're going to be showing up at the same kinds of events, weddings and things like that. And so one thing that can happen if you go to trial is you're going to say things about each other that aren't very flattering. If you can solve things in mediation without having to dredge up a lot of ugly feelings in each other, you're going to be able to heal faster after your divorce and co-parent likely better than you would if you went into, an ugly divorce trial and ended up having to say those kinds of things about each other.
Well, in trial or not, it's really just good to think about the long-term consequences of the things you say and communicate when you're going through a divorce, because they can have long-term consequences.
That's right, and you're stuck with this person likely for the rest of your life in a different capacity. They're no longer your spouse.
Assuming you have children. And then
Right.
you co-parent together, yeah.
So it's important to keep it as civil as you can, even if you have to settle for a little less than what you think you might get at trial, but you can do your divorce more peacefully. It's worth its weight in gold.
Although he's still not recommending that you give up everything, because
Not
you
at
do
all.
need to be able to take care of yourself and be able to see your children.
Another thing to keep in mind about trying to settle your divorce without legal proceedings is the emotional toll that formal court proceedings are going to take on your children and the couple. They're going to cast each other in the worst possible light. It's going to escalate the conflict that led to the divorce in the first place, not reduce it. That is unhealthy for everyone concerned, especially your kids. So going to court should only be utilized as a last resort when the parties simply cannot agree, or where you are dealing with a party that is simply too stubborn to negotiate. It is better to get a solution you know you can live with, even if it is not all you would have liked, than rolling the dice in court and running the risk of minimal parent time with your kids, or giving up a substantial amount in terms of financial settlement. In a settlement, you have some control over the outcome. When you decide to let the judge decide, you have no control. Essentially, you give away your power. Getting a satisfactory settlement early helps you to conserve the resources you and your partner accumulated during the marriage, and that allows you to move on faster. It's tempting for a lot of people to try to use the court system to punish each other for wrongs done during the marriage. Quite frankly, friends, the courts don't give a damn. Litigation was never designed to make you feel better, to get vengeance on someone who has hurt you, or to make you whole. In the case of your divorce, you don't want to spend an excess amount of your accumulated wealth and limited energy deepening the divide between you. Kathy, I also want to just add that the only time I ever failed to settle a divorce case was where somebody was convinced they were going to win everything at trial. Guess what? They lost everything at trial. That was the opposing party. I'm a pretty good lawyer, but you go in with that kind of idea and your chances of losing everything may not be high, but it does happen once in a while.
I think the moral of the story is don't get greedy.
Right. Don't get stars in your eyes, and don't think that everyone is going to see your spouse as the gaslighting narcissist that you do and just give you everything. In some jurisdictions, meaning states, a bifurcated divorce is possible. A bifurcated divorce means that you're granted the divorce without first settling the custody and financial arrangements. Now, many states frown on bifurcated divorces because they believe that if they grant the divorce before the child support schedule or parenting plan arrangements have been entered, the parties will just never get around to finishing their divorce. Personally, my opinion is that that's a paternalistic view of the world. I think it treats divorcing parents as if they were children. In my opinion, every divorce should be bifurcated with a 90-day waiting period if the parents are able to handle financial arrangements and child care issues and all the other issues without the court's assistance. Why not let them do it? We know some parents will still be selfish or even punitive to each other about sharing parent time with the other parent, or may shirk their obligations to help pay for their children's lives. I also think in order to trigger court schedules to resolve these issues, a parent should simply have to fill out a one-page form and request the court to intervene and provide a parenting plan and financial arrangements. They would then go through the mandatory mediation prior to further court proceedings, just as they do now. Whether or not to allow bifurcated divorce is a policy question that you don't have much influence over. The main reason I'm bringing it up is to let you know that it may be available in your jurisdiction. It could be a great advantage in a situation where you believe your former spouse is dragging his or her feet in finalizing the divorce in order to make you pay, to make you suffer, or to prevent you from moving forward in new relationships in order to get what they want. A bifurcated divorce deprives them of that leverage.
I did not know about bifurcated divorce until after I married Jeff and had experienced 2 divorces previously. But I think it seems like a pretty fantastic idea for couples who are breaking up and hurting a lot, not to have to make a lot of big legal decisions or having the process dragged out because resolution hasn't been reached yet.
Remember that your divorce arrangements are not about your rights, they're about your kids. Make your parenting plan, throw it in a drawer, and just parent your kids with your former spouse as a co-parent. Fall back on the parenting plan only when you simply can't agree.
I actually really appreciate that perspective. Thank you for sharing that. For our audience, we'll ask, are you currently going through the divorce process? Let us know how it's going in the comments. We'd love to hear what you have learned in this video that you didn't know before. Remember, anytime, even during the process of a divorce, is a great time for more love in your life.
Thank you for watching.